Point Park dorms overcome by pests, how the university is scratching away at the issue ahead.
Plus, you've paid up all year, now it's time to claim what's yours. Simple and easy ways to file your taxes coming up.
And more money for Pennsylvania college students. We'll tell you how much when we break down next year's budget. This and much more. Point News starts right now.
Live from the Point Park University Broadcast Center in downtown Pittsburgh, this is Point News.
There's a pest problem at Point Park. Thanks for joining us. For Point News, I'm Aaron Becker.
And I'm Brianna McCall. Multiple students reporting bed bugs in their dorms. They look like tiny little crumbs that creep on your bedding and feast on your blood. But as Lauren Nania reports, the university is doing something about it.
A few students living in on-campus dormitories have recently reported bed bugs inside of their rooms. The Office of Student Life is responsible for handling pest issues on campus.
We have students that will notice they look almost like little crumbs and things like that on the mattress or on the bedding. In that case, they can report directly to our office and we can contact the pest control company that the university works with, and they'll come out and do like a full inspection of the space.
The Allegheny County Health Department said bed bugs are minuscule oval-shaped insects typically found in beds or in crevices of furniture.
We have an inspector that's assigned to our campus, and so anytime we need something, we contact them and they send him out. But we see him pretty regularly. The turnaround is usually no more than 2 days.
The health department said bed bugs travel from other infested areas or from used furniture. They can also travel between rooms in multi-unit buildings, such as apartment complexes, or in this case, dormitories. Student Life typically denies students who ask for temporary room changes to prevent the pests from spreading any further.
One of the things that Ehrlich recommends that people do, and it's a very common treatment for bed bugs, is that you need to launder all of your bedding, all of your clothing. You need to empty dresser drawers and things like that. And so we give students this checklist of things that they need to do in preparation for the exterminator to come in and treat the bed bug problem.
For any students who believe there are pests present in their dorms, they should immediately report it to the Office of Student Life, whose office is located on the first floor of Pioneer Hall. Reporting to you from Pittsburgh, I'm Lauren Nania for Point News.
Cases of the coronavirus continue to climb in China, and now another familiar virus is creeping back. Nicole Fushino is in the studio with your health report. Nicole?
Thanks, Aaron. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the number of deaths in China rose to over 1,000 earlier this week. There was also another case confirmed in California, making it the 13th case in the United States. So how can you protect yourself against it? Well, there is no vaccine to prevent the coronavirus, but the CDC does recommend getting a regular flu shot. And as for face masks, they should only be worn by people showing symptoms of the coronavirus. You do not need to wear one if you are well. The CDC also recommends frequently washing your hands and disinfecting common surfaces. But the coronavirus is not the only outbreak in China. They are also facing the bird flu, which has already killed 4,500 chickens. It's not common for this virus to be spread to humans, and no human cases have been reported. But if a human would become infected, the mortality rate is 60%. The World Health Organization says that it is safe to consume properly prepared cooked game birds since the heat would kill the virus. And right here in Allegheny County, the number of confirmed flu cases are growing. The Allegheny County Health Department reports that there have been 8,750 cases of the flu this season, with 90 people hospitalized and 7 deaths. The health department recommends that if you do get sick, get plenty of sleep and drink lots of liquids. To prevent the flu, always cover your nose and mouth when sneezing and coughing, and stay away from flu-infected people. That's all for your health news this week. Stay healthy, everyone. I'm Nicole Fushino reporting for Point News.
Nicole, thanks. According to budget.pa.gov, the 2020-2021 budget proposes a total investment of $60 million for the Pennsylvania State Grant Program. $30 million in-state funding will be matched by FIA. Lisa Costco from Student Financial Services at Point Park says FIA determines student eligibility for grants based on their FAFSA. The The government website says the new budget will allow FIA to increase the maximum state grant award given to students. And federal tax income day is coming up. Experts say filing tax returns as a student can be challenging. Due to state and local filing requirements, students who go to schools out of state must file for both states of residence. Tax returns can be filed online through the IRS, in the mail, or with a third-party expert. USA.gov says all you need to file a return are your W-2s from the past year and any additional earning statements such as a student loan interest deductions. Tax returns typically arrive about 3 weeks from the receipt date, and they must be filed by April 15th.
Two frontrunners have emerged out of the first Democratic primary. The AP reports Bernie Sanders won New Hampshire, surpassing rival Pete Buttigieg. Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden trailing behind in 4th and 5th place. Buttigieg narrowly beat Sanders in the Iowa caucus with neck-and-neck results. The next wave of votes will take place during the Nevada caucus, slated February 22nd. Every dancer has their struggles, rigorous rehearsals, aching bones, and a lot of competition. But dancers of color face all those challenges and then some, simply because of their skin.
Point Park recently welcomed a guest speaker to help Black dancers celebrate their bodies. Sarah Yobi has that story.
Point Park University welcomed Dr. Brenda Dixon Gottschalk last week to help COPA celebrate Black History Month. According to Dr. Colleen Hooper, Assistant Professor of Dance, Dr. Dixon Gottschalk's work helps dance history come alive for students. Dr. Dixon Gottschalk was here for several events on campus, including Research Performance, the Black Dancing Body as a Measure of Culture, and John Myers Brown and the Audacious Hope of the Black Ballerina.
And then she thinks about how our bodies symbolize what values we display as a culture. So she really asks us to interrogate this, and she looks at things from different perspectives, and in the end she looks at the contribution that Black dancers have made to dance and art as a whole in our country.
Students poured into the George Rowland White Performance Complex for these lectures.
She incorporates movement during her speech, and I think that makes it a lot easier for people to connect to what she's doing. So even if people aren't specifically interested in dance, but they're just interested in celebrating Black culture and learning more about it, she's a fantastic person to learn from.
I'm Sarah Yobi, downtown Pittsburgh for Point News.
He's formerly known for his starring role in the hit Nickelodeon show Drake and Josh. Now Drake Bell is making his own hits. He's coming to Point Park in March on his tour with the group Northern Whale. The Point Park Police Department says security will be tight and they'll have extra officers both in uniform and plain clothes working the event.
The officers are usually on their posts, like in their areas. We'll definitely have officers in the vehicles and also out on patrol on foot in and around that area. We'll find out which way that this individual is coming to campus, which street that they're going to be pulling up, which way that we're going to be entering them, as simple as a rear door versus the elevator amongst public people.
Point Park PD uses similar measures for big events like the St. Patrick's Day Parade. The concert is March 18th in the Lawrence Hall Ballroom, and tickets are available online. We'll have your full weather report when we come back.
What's one word to describe CAB?
Welcoming.
Community.
Creative.
Experiences.
Family.
Openness.
Pineapple.
The Campus Activities Board is a student-run organization that consists of 7 different committees. Each focuses on event planning, marketing, and administrative activities. Join us in organizing the juiciest events on campus, from late-night bingo to festive dances to our team bonding meetings. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Point Park Cap, or like us on Facebook at Campus Activities Board at Point Park University.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. I'm Josh Troop alongside Jess Paterchak.
Defending his decision to kick out 15 Cuban diplomats from the United States.
Thanks, Allison. Fitness on Demand has returned to Point Park.
Residents fear that Mount Agung will have a repeat of 1963's eruption.
2-star NFL quarterbacks made the headlines this week after wrapping up.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's your news tonight. For Nick Tomarello, I'm Alex Grubbs. Have a great night.
Welcome back, Pioneers. This Valentine weekend is looking to be a little less than lovely. This weekend's weather is going to be up and down, starting with a low temperature of 23 this Friday. It's going to drop down to a low 14, which is funny, it's the 14th, with a precipitation percentage of 10%. We move into Saturday, and things will heat up a little bit, with a high of 41 and a low of 32 degrees. No chance of anything there. Moving into Sunday with a high of 43, low of 29, and 20% chance precipitation.
Thanks, Sarah. There's a very special sophomore here at Point Park University. I had the pleasure to meet and talk with her about how she's bringing the downtown community together. I'm Aaron Becker in Market Square as a fundraiser is taking place at Noodles & Company. It's to raise funds for Point Park Cares, a student-run organization to help those in the community in need. Point Park and the Wood Street Commons have been sharing the same street since the 70s, but have had very little interaction. PPC allows students to connect with WSC's residents to strengthen the downtown Pittsburgh community.
I could see how happy it made the residents there to see that we cared and we wanted to talk to them and do things with them.
PPC throws lots of fun and helpful events like art nights, holiday parties, game nights, outreach dinners, and yoga nights.
We're trying to have like a diverse amount of like things to do and activities to benefit all the kinds of different people there and their needs.
Lauren Ruther is in charge of it all as she's the founder and president of PPC. But she's just a sophomore and she's loved volunteering her entire life.
My parents kind of instilled that in me. I was always involved in my hometown, so it's always been a passion of mine. But since moving to school and being like faced with, you know, sad situations and the inequality like all around us, it really made me want to step up.
And to her, it doesn't even feel like volunteer work.
It's just having a conversation, brightening someone's day, making connections human to human. If you just take away all the labels of everything, that's basically what it comes down to.
I'm Aaron Becker in downtown Pittsburgh for Point News. Point Park's campus and the surrounding community gathered for Love Pittsburgh, an event put together by the Campus Activities Board with the lead of Cassie McKay, the experienced Pittsburgh coordinator of CAB. Different bakeries from around Pittsburgh came to deliver free desserts to everyone who took part. The sweet samples included cake, rolled ice cream, whoopie pies, and edible chocolate chip cookie dough. With Valentine's Day nearing, this was the perfect way to sweeten up everyone's week.
We figure it's like a great Valentine's Day themed event because not only does everybody love desserts, and it's just a great way for not only bakeries around Pittsburgh to get a lot of business and get their names out here on campus, but also for students to be able to have something sweet when normally they may not.
This is one of CAB's many events it puts on throughout the year. They're able to put events like this together with the budget they receive from the student activities fee, which is a part of each student's tuition. So everyone is encouraged to take part of the great events like Love Pittsburgh, as they are all free for students. This wasn't the first year for this event, and it definitely won't be the last, as it's becoming a very popular annual hit.
There's nothing like the charm of a handmade Valentine. At the Fort Pitt Museum today and tomorrow from 1 to 4 p.m., you can make your own Valentine or love token. The museum says these Valentines will be throwbacks to the ones made in the 18th and 19th centuries. A survey by note writing service Bond shows 81% of people think a handwritten note is more meaningful than a DM or text.
The results are in. Who were the big winners at the Oscars this past weekend? Point News reporter Kira Fry is in the studio with the Oscars recap. Hey, Kira.
That's right, Aaron. The 92nd Academy Awards were this past Sunday, and it was a historic night. The South Korean comedy thriller Parasite made history, becoming the first film in a foreign language to win the Oscar for Best Picture. The film also won Best Original Screenplay and International Feature Film. Additionally, Bong Joon-ho took home the award for Best Directing for the film. Another big winner of the night was 1917. The World War I drama claimed 3 Oscars for Best Visual Effects, Cinematography, and Sound Mixing. And then the categories that everyone has been waiting for, Best Actor and Actress. Joaquin Phoenix took home Best Acting for his role in Joker, while Renee Zellweger won Best Actress for Judy. All of these memorable wins, but one Oscar was a little closer to home. Also among this year's Oscar winners was Pittsburgh native Wendy Willis. She won an Oscar for her work on the animated short film Hair Love. The 7-minute film that celebrates natural hair love among people of color won the Oscar for Best Animated Short Sunday night. Willis works as the head of development at the Los Angeles animation company that produced all of the animation for the short.
If you're up to your ears in schoolwork, then you'll want to listen closely. Point Park has some free ways to help students relieve stress. Kelsey Braun has more.
Point Park University has numerous ways to help students relieve stress, from the University Counseling Center to numerous campus activities, and even visits from the campus canine therapy dogs. There are numerous studies that show that the number of students claiming that stress is detrimental to their academic performance is on the rise.
I think the stressors come from a lot of different factors. Education is a lot more expensive. College students feel the need, and there is a necessity in a lot of cases, to have jobs. So free time is something that is non-existent any longer.
In the latest report from the National College Health Association, 36.5% of students say they are stressed to the point that it has a negative academic impact. Point Park is visited twice a month by campus canines. During these visits, students have the opportunity to let off a little steam by petting therapy dogs. Campus Canines launched about 5 years ago. They visit Point Park as well as other universities in Pittsburgh, such as Pitt and Duquesne. The dogs are trained to handle large crowds and heavy social exposure.
It gives them an opportunity to come and to relax and to pet a dog, and they don't have any pressure on them.
There is science behind the benefit of therapy dogs. According to Frontiers in Psychology, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like oxytocin, serotonin, and cortisol when you interact with a dog. Campus canines visit Point Park on the first Thursday of each month and a Wednesday mid-month. Their next visit is Wednesday, February 19th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Reporting from inside Lawrence Hall at Point Park University in downtown Pittsburgh, I'm Kelsey Braun for Point News.
Most churchgoers will agree music plays a big part in worship.
What about people dealing with deafness? That's why a local church is stepping in to help people who can't hear see their sign from God. Nicole Ficino reports.
This church behind me has mastered a way to include just about everybody in the Pittsburgh community.
Music. It's a common theme that many places of worship all share, but as you walk through the doors of this church in Pittsburgh, music can be experienced with senses other than just hearing. This is the deaf choir at St. Mary of the Mount Catholic Church in Pittsburgh's Mount Washington region. Gerald Rossman has been a member of this choir for about 3 years, but he has been a part of the religious deaf community for over 50.
Many go to hearing churches and are lost. They don't have a way to really participate or understand what's happening in church. So we have interpreters to help us. We have priests who actually sign, so that helps us to be involved with the church.
Helping the deaf become more involved with the church is something that Karen Shepard says she loves about being the deaf ministry coordinator. She started working with the choir about 20 years ago when she first started learning sign language.
It's so very impressive how strong the faith is of the deaf community when they don't really have the same resources for learning about our faith that we all have as hearing people.
Every Sunday at 11:30, this signed mass attracts people far and wide.
This is the designated deaf church for the diocese. People are coming from all over, north, south, east, west. They travel to come to this church.
She says that not only does the choir allow people who are deaf to practice their religion, but it's also a way for everybody to take in music.
People come here and oftentimes comment on how inspiring it is to see this mass because it just engages you in a different way.
A different way that could just be a sign from above.
I'm Garrett Bahana with your sports update. In Pirates news, pitchers and catchers have reported for spring training throughout Major League Baseball, with Pirates pitchers and catchers reporting on February 10th. Position players will be reporting on February 16th, and the Bucs' first spring training game will be February 22nd against the Minnesota Twins at 1:05 p.m. And it looks like the Penguins have set the market when it comes to trading at this year's NHL trading deadline. The Pens acquired speedy winger Jason Zucker in exchange for Alex Galchenyuk, prospect Kalen Addison, and their 2020 first-round pick. The Pens have long wanted Zucker's services going back to last summer when the team nearly acquired him for Phil Kessel before Kessel vetoed that trade. Now Zucker will look to help the Penguins gear up for a postseason run as the team looks to capture their 6th Stanley Cup. That'll do it for this week's Sports Report. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Garrett. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching.
Point News will be back next Thursday at 2 p.m. Have a great week, Pioneers.